live, and I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to, yeah, just a minute. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, now there is nothing, but in a couple of seconds, you will see something interesting. Okay, and I hope now we see my PowerPoint slides.
Yep.
So let's get started. Okay, so hello everyone, and welcome to our Power BI meetup session. Actually, this is not Power BI meetup session. This is something related to AI. But it's organized by Azerbaijan Data and AI Meetup Group. And today's session titled as AI Skills for the Future, AB exam, AB 900 exam. So I'm excited to have you here today as we explore one of the Microsoft's newest AI certifications, the AB 900, right? Okay, Copilot and agent administration. In other words, we can call this exam like Copilot and agent administration fundamentals. This session is part of our ongoing mission to innovate, educate, and inspire the data and AI community. Thank you for joining us today, and let's dive in, right? Okay, so this event is designed to give you a clear understanding of the AB 900 certification, what the exam covers, why it matters, and how it fits into the evolving AI landscape. Our speaker will walk through the exam structure, the skills you'll be tested on, and practical strategies to prepare effectively. Whether you are a business professional using Microsoft 365 Copilot or a leader driving AI transformation, this session will help you strengthen your AI literacy and lead with confidence. I hope I gave the necessary description of the purpose of today's session. If something is more or less, I hope our speaker will fix these mistakes in next, minutes. So it's my great honor to introduce our today's speaker, Rolf McLaughlin. I hope I pronounced his name correctly. Who is former PowerShell MVP, MCT, and MCT community lead, and one of onboarding MCT onboarding advisors. Rolf brings deep expertise in Azure cloud architecture, enterprise systems, and Microsoft Entra ID. I hope in next minutes he will be giving the necessary information about himself. It's also, I would like to tell you that our community continues to grow and we have more exciting sessions coming soon. We are pleased to announce upcoming speakers. Ilham Naiska, who is Microsoft Technical Trainer, and Karin Zhuagi, who is actively participating in Power BI dashboard competitions. So stay tuned for their sessions. Each will bring unique perspectives from the global data and AI ecosystem. A little bit about the meetup rules. So if there is any information that's subject to sharing, I will do it. I will share it. And also this session is lively streaming on YouTube. So it means that you will have the necessary opportunity just to watch the recording. Also, during the session, you can type your question in chat box or at the end of the session, most probably, at the end of the session, we'll have some time just for Q&A session. And you can ask also your question there. This is the schedule, the first 3 or 4 or 5 minutes maximum. It is introduction that I'm doing right now. Then I'm delivering stage to Rolf. And as I mentioned a little bit earlier, we are going to have Q&A session, or maybe during the session, we'll have the necessary, time for questions. So I encourage you to stay connected with our community. And I would like to see you in next upcoming sessions. So here I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I would like to deliver stage to Rolf. So Rolf, stage is yours. Thank you for joining, and good luck.
Thank you, Ilgar. Thank you for having me, and hello, everybody. I just need to focus here. Now, just to make clear what we're doing here today, this is not an official course, although you will see some of the slides that will be used by technical trainers, MCTs, to teach this course. And since I am an MCT, I'm allowed to use these slides, but you will not get any certification, you will not get any vouchers or anything, just as a disclosure at the moment. But let me introduce myself first, and that would be me. I am director of my own company, the Cloud42.com, and Elga already mentioned one or two other things. I am a certified trainer for by now more than 30 years, and that means that my first certification and my first teaching was with the Windows for Work groups, the old stuff. Yes, community lead as well for the trainers here in Western Europe, and that I'm doing for roughly 10 years now, and the latest is the MCT onboarding advisor. You may have seen one or the other announcement of my fellow OBAs, which are teaching new people who are technically skilled, but then they also need the facilitator skilling. And that is what an onboarding advisor does. It gives you the eligibility to become a Microsoft certified trainer. Former cloud solution architect within Microsoft, as well as teaching future cloud solution architects to become CSAs, as well as manager of just a bunch of people and letting them loose onto the customers. I'm just joking. I was managing a team of 10 people, seasoned CSAs, to help the Microsoft customers in my role within Microsoft, because I am ex-Microsoft, as well as ex-PowerShell MVP. Wrote some books about PowerShell back in the days, but that is enough about me. On the top, you see my AKA link. I have still some friends who keep this Microsoft link open, the QR code. But on the lower left, you see this purplish, pinkish, whatever you call that color. This is how my name is supposed to be pronounced, McLaughlin. But enough about me. So what we do have is a little bit more. We have the official slides, but the audience, when it comes to taking this course, taking this certification, preparing for this learning material, what do you bring yourself to the table here? And it is the basics. The number 900 of the certification gives it away. There are some others who are by now 901, etc., but all are aiming for a basic understanding of the functionalities. Of course, you do have to have your IT knowledge underneath of that. And for some of you, that may be, yeah, okay, Rolf, come on, move faster. But for some who are new to the story, that may be a little bit of a steeper stair to climb. Let's keep in mind there are always new people to the IT technology, and we want to make sure that they also get a warm welcome and have a chance to learn the ropes from the very beginning. The topics that are covered coming out of the M365 area, they are divided into two major, what Microsoft calls learning paths. One is the general M365 administration, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. And then the two core elements is the M365 Copilot, how to do that, administer, explore, etc. And then the agents itself, when you decide to have a little bit more of that quality. And we will see the live environment in the M365 portal, and that hopefully answers the first questions. What is it about? What do we have in this one? Now, let me take this slide deck away that you can enjoy my wonderful background. And I will bring up some slides. Sorry, now let's start with some tabs first. Now, when you decide you want to go into the learning about AB 900 Microsoft, one of the ways could be you just go into your preferred finding machine, type in AB-900, and in Edge/Bing, you get this as a result, 20,000 results, and one of them would bring you to Learn.Microsoft and Copilot Agent Administration Fundamentals. You will find study guides, best practices, etc. And what we're doing here today is part of that one. And of course, I have prepared some of the stuff for you. Now, if you select the first link, you will end up on this page. And if you have been doing the Microsoft certifications for quite a while, you probably know that you have to have a so-called Learn profile. And in the previous session, I think you did AB 730, 731. And you need to sign in to make sure that all of what you're doing is recognized with your personal profile, etc. Now, when it comes to the credentials, the basic idea is understanding how Microsoft structures the credentials. And they did it quite nicely by either browsing, or they have created this nice poster that screenshot you see here. And that poster looks like this. Oops, let me go away, go away. Where's my poster? Here's my poster. Let's do that one. They structured it. Let me just make it a little bit smaller for you in the beginning in 3 pillars. They have the cloud and AI platform. They have the AI business solutions and security. All of the role-based certification are stacked into here. And on the horizontal bar, you see the fundamentals layer. Here's fundamentals, where you find AB 900 in the AI business solutions. After that, you have the role-based associate level, and then we have the expert level in. Remember that later on the top right of this poster, there's the explanation what each of the tiles has to say to you. These individual tiles that we have here, they are completely hyperlinked. And if you select this AB 900 hyperlink, you will end up on this tab, which I prepared for you as well. This is the deep dive into the material that Microsoft gives you. And you can do a self-study. You do not need to sit a classroom, pay for the time that a trainer gives you. It really, really, really depends on your own learning style, availability, capability, etc. There is no must do it this way or do it that way. Microsoft gives you the chance, and they give you the chance to prepare, practice, and then also from here you are guided out to how to take the exam. This is all identical with all of these certifications. When it comes to this certification, the study guide is on the next tab, of course, but you can dive into that. So we have our 2 areas, the actual M365 administration that was on my slide that I showed you earlier. And then we have the second part about the Copilot and agent administration. The rough time that you could invest into this one is 3.5 hours roughly each. And then we have the actual practice for the exam. Access your knowledge. The suggestion is, and best practice is, once you have gone through this 2 modules and the units inside the modules, that you go ahead and go through the practice assessment, and we'll do that later at the end of my little session. This sandbox here, don't misread this as you're doing something like in the actual exam for AB 900. Now, this sandbox explains to you how the exam questions are presented to you, how to go through it, and how you pause or not pause, and etc., etc. So it gives you a hands-on feeling in case you've never done an exam test. The test itself, when you want to go that, you have to allocate 45 minutes. And you can schedule it through the third-party company Pearson View for Azerbaijan. That is at the moment, at the time of the recording here today, allocated with $50. That may change in the future in either direction. I'm not sure, and I'm not in control of that one, but the price changes per region. For me in Ireland, that is a different topic here. Now, Pearson View, then you also have to have an account with them, etc., etc. But I'm not going to dive into that one. Then we have further certification resources. They're all the same on each of the pages. Now, if you go into the administration, it gives you these questions. You, of course, have to do a little bit of cookies, and then you go through the individual modules, and each module then breaks down into individual units, as Microsoft calls them. Now, at the very end, you have the chance to do a module assessment, 20 minutes, etc. And that gives you a chance to assess your own knowledge, where you are standing with getting the verbiage done, etc. What helped me mostly to go through this kind of things is drill through this. My recommendation is do this. It is there for free for you to learn, etc. That is part of the deal. And we also have this study guide that helps you to drill deeper if this following of the units is not your way of learning. You can go ahead, updates exams, skills measured, etc., skills at a glance. And now we're drilling deeper into the details. It means that now we see that Microsoft in that certification test goes ahead and asks you core features, objects of M365 services. Out of the 100% of the questions that will be presented to you in these 45 minutes, you have to expect roughly a third out of that pillar of knowledge, which of course is part of the units that you saw before. And what does it actually mean? It means that you have to do a little bit about license types, how they are assigned users and groups, and how does that affect you to go into M365 features. Organization configuration in the admin center, M365 admin center, and so on and so on. I will not read out all of this to you because I think you're smart enough to do that yourself. But what I would like to do is switch gears and go ahead and show you the M365 Admin Center. What do you think about that one here? This is what we're talking about. This is the old Contoso environment, etc. And this is what they expect you to know, that you have hands-on practical experience in this portal. And when we talk about users, all of the stuff that is in here. Then we have the Copilot, we have the agents, we have the groups, roles, marketplace, billing, support, etc. And when it comes to users, we have our active users. Many users are in there. We have this dummy user, Adele Vance, and you go in there, you see that there's no license available, license and apps, etc. All these details. This is what the practical knowledge is all about. And in the certification test, you can expect questions that hover around this topic. As one example, how do you do the licensing? Where do you look it up, etc. And then another part, bigger part, of course, is the M365 admin center when it comes to agents, number one, and that is the big overview. Be aware when you want to drill deeper into this one, there could be a license required to do all of this. This is just a dummy environment, so don't be surprised if there's a lot of not active users, not connected platforms, etc. But how to configure it and how to drill into details, how to search down and how to configure, for example, the settings in the agents, etc. That is part of the required knowledge and hopefully enables you to pass the certification successfully. While that is true for the agents, we also have the other part here with the co-pilots. And we have the analytics, we have the security, we have the usage, so the usual reports that go along with that one. But also a little bit further, how do you connect your organization, your tenant, your enterprise to not only the information that lives inside the Microsoft environment, but maybe external system like SAP, like ABC, like 123 company. And that's done through connectors. You can even go ahead by now and give some corporate prompts home, and you will have them in here. You create a prompt that will then be available to all your licensed Copilot users in your company. So none of the users needs to reinvent the prompts to get the same results. And this is exactly where we also cut a little bit. And there are other certifications, other tests that bring you to the quality of, okay, how do I create my own agent? This is not necessarily part of this one here. Or Copilot Studio. You may have heard that phrase or about that product. This is also not part of the fundamentals. Other terminology, other tests, other certification. What I also want to bring to your attention, now we had the M365 portal, we had the agents, we had the copilots. That covers everything that is written in the headline. But what we also have is this one here, the Purview portal. I highly, highly, highly recommend to have some time set aside and go through the Purview portal because you control everything what is living inside your tenants' data, everything that is accessible, graph, controllable, policies, and so on. That is part of the knowledge that I and all of the other trainers, and of course Microsoft, considers as crucial and essential for being a successful M365 administrator when it comes to a Copilot agent and in general M365. Now, going back from there or just holding in? Ilga, are there any questions that came up in the meantime? Maybe a little bit too fast, but just want to
Yes,
give, please go ahead.
sorry.
Mhm.
You have shared the link that displayed all the necessary, certificates in AI.
Yep.
Will be great if you could, place that link here in
Yeah.
the chat. Yeah.
I can do a little better
Okay.
because I came prepared and have
Okay.
dug into something where we have our friend um, Timothy Warner here. And Timothy is a great guy. I know him for many, many years. And he has put together a GitHub page with all of the information that I talked about and has collected that in one big batch. And we will share this later here. So github.com, Timothy Warner.org, and then AB900. And we'll check that out in the chat in a
Great.
moment. Or if you, Ilga, can pick that up right now and paste it there. So he has all the links in there, certification page, the exam page, a study guide as of July 22 of 2026. Now, what does that mean? That means that Microsoft is always fine-tuning the skills that are tested in the certification test. Are they always spot on by the minute where the product changes? Not always. The changes are a little bit lagging behind because they have to go through the back end and be verified, secured, etc. But this is the skills measured is the authoritative scope for all and everything that will be tested on. Of course, then how to register, how to pay, etc. And then additional policies, FAQs, practice assessment, free stuff that he puts together in there. And that is worth going through it. And as well as all the root product, exam cover, etc. I think this is the best resource you can have for yourself as a go-to resource and tick your way through. Don't leave the Microsoft page on the side and go only through this one. Go through this one and divert into the individual areas. He even pointed out, as I said here, Purview exam domain heaviest in terms of percentage. It's the area that you can expect most of the questions about. And then we, of course, have the licensing bit, service description, etc., etc. And then we have the official learning path, as well as links to other portals, etc. Does it answer the question, Ilga?
Yeah. By the way, I found that link and
Mhm.
also shared it on YouTube and also here.
Thank you very much. Okay,
Okay, thank you.
now let's take it away as well as this one. Are there any other questions for so far?
Not yet,
Mhm.
but you may go on. Yeah.
Okay, then let me go. Where are we in that one? Okay, I want to go into this one and show you a little bit, just a little bit of a teaser for the learning paths. I told you that we have the official learning material here. So this is what you can expect in the official training, not necessarily in the units that you see in your self-study. So it is about the core services, admin controls. This is what they're teaching you for and how to maneuver inside the M365 portal. The security is a crucial element in there, data governance and data protection, as well as then, of course, a little bit of a review at the end. And then we have core services, admin controls, and this is where we stop and give you a little bit of a moment. So you need to know what is zero trust. It's not that Ilga doesn't trust me or I don't trust him. It means actually, in the technical term, that when you have a solution that has a front end, a middleware, a back end, or to use old lingo, or has many, many components that are facing outside to the world, to the end user, have some stuff running in the in Azure and so on, or agents which are coming into the flow, means that every of the component, when it is receiving data or is requesting to connect to another component, that it's just not implicitly trusting this component and their connection and data sharing request, but makes sure that a request comes from a trusted component or is verified by an authority that both of the components trust. So zero trust, learning what it is about, how it works, and how it fits into an architectural idea that you need to have in your portfolio of knowledge. Then again, threat protection, intelligence, all about the security in terms of how to protect the tenant itself, identity, authentication. It goes across the whole board of how to make sure that the tenant itself, which is administered in M365, partly in Purview, but some of the components may even be in the Azure portal / in the Microsoft Entra portal, where you can also do some of the configuration around the identity access management and what I wanted to point out, just ignore that Microsoft has put number 6 and number 7 with the same topics here. Just ignore that for the moment. We will not dig deeper into this one for the moment, but that gives you hopefully an idea what the first part is about when we talk about M365 and Purview and Azure Portal. It does not stop with, oh yeah, we just do a little bit of user things here. Why do we need that? Because all comes back, everything, Exchange, SharePoint, OneDrive, Teams, Copilot, everything is connected to the M365 portal. They have their own administrative portal to configure their settings, their individual service specific settings. But when it comes to the holistic configuration, this is where it all comes together in the M365 portal. Now, let me take this away. That's the first part. And let me just drop that one here. Let me drop that one here. And we have another deck just to make it more busy. And we go with this one. And now we are on the second part of the Copilot and agent administration that the AB 900 wants you to know about. So we had the M365. Now we're going explicitly into the Copilot administration and in the agent administration. Basic tasks are required for Copilot itself and the Copilot agents. Guess what? In the M365 portal, I briefly scratched in the portal in these areas. So what is expected for you to know? Each of the elements that can be configured inside the M365 portal / Copilot / agent. And just to make sure that we are on the same page with that, let me just quickly bring that up again. That was this panel. So the M365, and then we have the Copilot control system here with the overview. This is the part that we are talking about. All of this, overview, connectors, prompt, setting, cost management, this is a must-know element for AB 900. And when it comes to M365 agents, it's a repeat. Overview, all agents, tools, settings, and everything that is hiding in here and forking out to other areas, that is a must-know for the AB 900 as well. So a very confident maneuvering around in the portal, know what to do, live in the scenario as a business helping administrator, because that's what it is all about in AB 900. You want to enable the business and prove that you understand the business requirement and how you configure the M365 Copilot agent and the portal itself to support the business. Now, let's quickly move back
Yeah.
to the module here. Ilya, Ilga,
Yeah,
question,
I would
please.
like to ask two questions.
Go ahead. Yeah,
If it's
please.
okay
Yeah.
for you. Yeah. So first of all, I hope you mentioned it. So who is the AB 900 certification designed for? I mean, who is the real audience? These are business users or IT people?
These are IT people who
Okay.
support the business users
Yeah.
in configuring the agents and the Copilot basic settings that the business is able to use them in a safe way. The business doesn't care if the permissions in Teams, in SharePoint, in whatever are set
Yeah.
correctly, but they expect the IT administration to help them to fulfill their business goals. Sometimes you
Yeah.
have a little bit of a blend over between the business administration. They demand, they require, they request whatever feature, and then you need to look in the portal and see how that can be achieved through configuration. But it is sometimes required to have somebody with higher permissions, like an enterprise administrator in the old days on premises, here the global administrator or Teams or SharePoint administrator to do the required configuration. And after all, the governance and policies who somebody else may even have been has implemented or have been in place for quite a time, they need to be reviewed if the new Copilot configuration match with the governance that goes along with that one.
Yeah. And one more question. You also just demonstrated Copilot Studio. I mean, actually, it was admin page. But
Hmm.
let's say that one would like wants or plans to use Copilot Studio. So it could be very great from where to start and how much money he's going to pay and how to follow, monitor his expenses because
Hmm.
it's really people ask this
Yeah.
question. So yeah,
Yeah, in the
yeah,
AB 900, that is not a required knowledge to do that. But what you do need is to have a Copilot license assigned to the individual users. So, what you could do is you could just go to users, go to active users, and just go Adele here. Okay, Adele wants to have a Copilot license. So licenses and apps. Okay, license and apps. Okay, there is no license for Adele available. So my company has none. So because it's a dummy company, of course, you would go into buy products, making sure you have an assigned license that covers the Copilot Studio as well. So we're talking about the various plans here. So we're not talking about Power BI or Planner or anything like that. Um, you could just go ahead, all products, and then we go pilot, loading page, and hit enter. Okay, what do we have? Copilot for Finance, Copilot Service Trial, Copilot Studio. Here, in this case, in my demo environment, we have the Copilot Studio trial that would be available. In a fully productive tenant, that would look a little bit different. And then you would have the Copilot Studio as a full license that you could add separately. If you are in a full-blown enterprise environment, you potentially have people who have been assigned an um, M365 E5 license or even maybe an E7 license, and then the Copilot Studio would be included. But that is always changing. So please don't quote me on what is included in a license, because Microsoft is always shuffling the deck when it comes to licensing and packages, etc. So latest Microsoft pages and what you can buy here in the portal is the truth in here. Okay. Does it answer the question, Ilga?
yes, 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 exactly.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah,
perfect.
go on,
Yep.
please.
So let's go back to home here. And let's go back to Copilot and agents in this module. And this is also the page where I will stop. So you need to know M365 Copilot. what are agent? And let's try this. What is an agent, and what is the scope of this of this phrase? And we have the Copilot agents, we have the licensing models in here, and everybody who has a Copilot license, which can be added separately beside the M365 license, has the capability for themselves to create an agent in the Copilot app, in the M365 Copilot app, which looks rather dull and boring, like this one here, for example. Just leave that on. That is my full productive M365 Copilot instance. And some of the agents come with a package, like the researcher, analyst. But you also can create a completely new agent for your own purposes. For example, I have created for myself an image translator. Very often I find a nice English um, um, an image with English phrases in there, but I'm very often teaching in German, and the translation on the German page is not as I like it. So I just created an image translator for myself that makes it very easy. I just drop in the image into my agent, but that is an agent that is just for myself. It is not shared with my colleagues, etc. It's not becoming part of the pool. But in the M365 portal, the administrator can see my agent in there. And this is where this one lives. We also have then more agent and apps that can be connected from here. So we can go into that one here. But when we go into the more agents element, you find the researcher analyst again, your own one. Then we have learning agent, but there are agents in all of the products by now. And personally, I'm using the PowerPoint agent the most at the moment to help me cut time in developing courses and making sure everything is available very quickly. Or if I have an English deck that needs to be translated quickly, I can use the PowerPoint translator, which is very slow to do, or I could just create a script slash prompt for myself and go ahead and let Copilot in PowerPoint do the holistic translation. Then we have more built by Microsoft agents in there, agents for your teams that have been provided. Oh, yeah, as I said before, you can create a new agent out of this one here. And this is how it looks like. If you're gonna go into your chat, you can always go ahead and ask the stuff. But in the beginning, very often, many people use the Copilot interface as a sophisticated replacement for the search engine, which is great. It helps you to get started with everything that needs to be done here. Just keep in mind, everything that you put in here is then in your chat history. If you don't want this, there's always the chance for having a temporary chat, etc. Play around with the Copilot interface that changes regular as well. We also have this work IQ if you have the full license to make sure that you can connect with the data that your company uses. And we also have the chance for getting into the different OpenAI or Anthropic models behind your engine, behind your search, behind your agent, etc. And this is what you also need to bring to the table, the understanding how this works. Licensing models were mentioned as well. Okay. What else do we have? That is not what I wanted to show. I want to quickly go into one other element. That is this one. And that would be this one here. The agent was one part, and the Copilot is another one. All of the licenses pay-as-you-go billing. We also have the stuff with hey, we have this co-work that you may have heard about. And just be aware that we have a potential pitfall for a lot of money that can be lost if you go excessive in using Copilot co-work. Not that it is necessarily part of the now version of the certification test, but in the future there may be questions around that as well. And then you actually need to have a subscription behind this, a pay-as-you-go subscription that Microsoft can bill you for the usage of co-work, and making sure that you have that on your mind when it comes to somebody asking me, hey, give me co-work, I want to have it. Yeah, please. Against which cost center do you want me to run this request? And they'll say, what? What do you mean? IT is paying for it. Maybe you need to request that business model, and the manager needs to sign off the price that goes along with it. It's an open topic, and we'll see how that goes. Just wanted to share this as well, and then just one last element. We have the chance to do the assignment of licenses per user, depending on how many users you have. It could be very, very cumbersome, very manual, or you go through groups, which is also the recommended way, of course, to make sure that you are removing licenses of people if they are leaving a certain group. Having said that, going back to the starting, and we're coming up to 41, 42 on the page here. Ilga, I think we are more or less at the end of what I can tell you. Any open question that you would like me to ask again? Because that's what
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have for the moment. About
Um,
AB 900. I hope you liked what I was talking about.
yes. Um, would be great also to talk a little bit about the duration of the exam. So
So what was it? The
what's
question? Sorry, I didn't understand you. What was it? Duration is 45 minutes.
45 minutes?
45 minutes. The number of questions I cannot talk about. That is part of the confidentiality that you normally sign on and off when you go into that. But Microsoft says it's 45 minutes and it's enough
Ah,
time, but you have to really read the question. How do I personally approach when it comes to certification and question and stuff like that? My personal way is that when the question comes up, I read the answers first. That sounds weird in one or the other head, maybe, but what does it give me? It gives me the advantage that I know what they are looking for. After reading the answers, I go ahead and read the question. Maybe with the knowledge that I have already acquired, I'm able to quickly answer that one because it could be a one-to-one match, and then off I go. If reading the answers first, then reading the question doesn't bring me to a conclusion, I look for additional information. Sometimes there is a paragraph of text written above the question. This can help to identify what they're aiming for, give me more context. And maybe with reading the answers, reading the question, reading the context gives me a chance to then answer the question and move on to the next one. There are scenarios that you have in the question in the certification test, not necessarily in the fundamentals, but in the higher ones. If it comes to scenarios, I still do the same because I then know from the answers and the question what I am looking for in the scenario description instead of reading through pages of material or looking at images that they are giving you into the scenario. If I would do that first, consume that first, I would not know what I'm looking for. If I look
yeah.
for the answers and the question, I know exactly what I'm looking for and trying to find that little nugget that is hiding in the flora of information. And then I'm hopefully able to answer the question quicker. That's my personal approach. And so far, I've been relatively successful I have forgotten how many certifications I did in my life.
And 45 minutes is really good. So,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
actually,
Yeah.
based on the duration, one can, imagine the number of or count the number of questions. So that's okay. And 700 is the passing score.
Passing
So if
score.
you,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so if you would like to be, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So my question is also about when you prepare for this exam, is there any lab
No.
or?
There are no
There's
labs
no
for this
labs.
one. There is no labs.
Yeah,
There is no exercise area. On the certification page, I showed you this exam preparation that could trigger you say, oh yeah, I can prepare there. It is not. It is a mock-up that shows you how the Microsoft certification asks you a question. There are radio buttons, or there are tick boxes, or you have to drag things around and from left to right, bring things in the right order. Or there are drop downs where they're giving
yeah,
you several answer options that you then make this a consistent information. Sometimes they give you blocks of multiple lines and say, okay, we have the following question. The statement, is that true or false? True or false? True or false? And then you have to decide for each of the statements whether that is a
yeah,
true or a wrong
yeah.
answer. So this is what they are giving you as an example, that you are not surprised by how they're asking you the questions and what you're supposed to do while answering the questions.
Yeah. So that's okay. Then thank you very much
You
for
welcome.
your time, for sharing all this information. Is there any materials that you would like to share with attendees, students, or
I definitely cannot share the slides. The link that we saw earlier. Let me go to the chat. And I can. You have already pasted
yeah,
Timothy Warner's. Okay, perfect.
yes.
That's
But
it.
sorry for
Please.
interrupting you. That on Microsoft page, where the
Yep.
list of all certificates is, it's very
Yep.
interesting. So
I'm on it. I'm on it. Give me a moment.
yeah, okay,
That is the this one here. That is the
yeah,
certifications, number
yes,
one.
that's
And then we
perfect.
also have an access to the poster in there.
Let
And
me
what else do we have? Da-da-da. Then we have the learning to the administration. That would be this one here. All of this is also on Timothy's page. And then we have the actual study guide coming in the
Yeah, that's
chat right
perfect.
now. And
Yes.
then you have the GitHub. Okay. Yeah,
Regarding study
that's what.
guides, yes,
Yeah.
I think I have
Hmm.
this one. I have already shared that one. Okay, that's perfect. So yeah, that's great. And maybe something related to MCT. I don't know it's under NDA or not.
Hmm.
So
What would you like to know?
I would like to know whether in a renewal process, I mean, in a renewal MCT process, taking this exam will have any impact or not?
At the moment, the requirements to maintain an MCT status, Microsoft Certified Trainer, has to have the AB 730 or the AB 731. Besides the facilitator training, the OBA, sorry, the onboarding experience, OBE, and no, you have
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
761.
it's
That's
it's
you're
yeah,
correcting.
yeah, it's
Fine.
my yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's my mistake.
So you
Yeah,
need to have the facilitator qualification, the onboarding experience. Then you have to. I have either 730 or 731.
yeah,
Then you have to apply and pay your fees. And for the renewal, you have to have the 6 trainings done, the 6 sessions done, and it is really sessions. So one training or 5 days still counts as one session.
yeah,
Oh, and of course, if you're teaching something like the AB 900, I myself need to have the AB 900 certification to be eligible to teach AB 900, which of course I have, as well as the 30, 31, and several others that I
yeah.
keep up to date. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. It brings us to the end of the session. So with your permission, I'm just going to stop live streaming on YouTube.